Hi everyone, I'm your host Nikola Pavlov, and this is Boban Kish. Boban here is a reenactment that is Serbian and Hungarian by heritage. He's been doing, he's been reenacting Hungarian people from the early medieval times. Boban, can you introduce yourself a little bit better?
Of course, I will try my best. Thank you for this. Hello once again to everyone. Thank you for your introducing, or maybe even trying. I will try my best as well. So, my name is Boban Kиш. You heard that already. Kish is the last name of Hungarians. So, I'm going in this direction to try to explain to people. You already said that I have the heritage. I'm doing the reenactment for now 6 or 7 years. 6 years actively, 7 years. I had 1 year to just gather the info for what I started to do, which was Byzantium and trying to interfere with Serbian culture. I went that way. After some time, of course, in my high school and university, I tried to research my own heritage, which was Hungarian on the other side from my father. Therefore, I found very much interesting things, were used as an inspiration to reconstruct early Hungarians. They call it honfoglalás, or conquest of the homeland. That is their arrival in Carpathian Basin, end of the 10th century. Um, they're pretty opposite teams. They were kind of enemies, like not kind of, they were enemies at certain point of the period. And I found inspiration. Sometimes you can be the bad cop and you can be the good cop, and then you get the complete reenacting and you get to see the people how they thought about in that time, the way they lived, and that was the idea itself.
How did you start reenactment? What was the event that motivated you to start reenactment?
Oh, that's a good one, but I think before I answer it, of course, you have to stop for a minute and to answer this one as well, because you're closer than I am. I'm not telling that I'm old, but I have 30 years, so therefore I am into this like for 7 years. I'm not that old, but okay, I will not go into that direction anymore about my age. So I was into reenacting, not as a reenacting itself. I was born in a place called Kladovo. For your Bulgarian viewers, maybe it's easier for them geographically. Kladovo is very close to Vidin and Baba Vida Fortress. Therefore, I used to have a joke, which is not a joke itself as a compact joke. For joke to work, it has to have certain truth in it. I was born very, very close to the fortress Fat Islam in Kladovo. That's actually my neighbor, first one. The joke was that when I open the window and jump over it, I'm on the first bastion and I'm first defender of the Fat Islam itself.
Mm-hmm.
So born very close to the fort itself, medieval fort, and growing up watching the movies and having the father that was inspiration for my ear as well. Because when I was born, he was making me wooden swords, the primitive bows, like just normal stuff, and the rope. That was the first bow I ever had, and possibly most of us as well. That is generally how you generate that kind of love. So I was following those steps, and when I grew up enough to have the freedom to research as a person itself without help of anybody else to make a very serious research, I started doing reenacting.
Mm-hmm. That's a
But
that's a
as I
fairly
said,
similar story to mine.
since we're doing this both way as well, I
Yeah.
have the question for you, which is pretty much the same. How did you get involved into reenacting, and what was your inspiration to start it?
Well, for me, it's kind of the same with the father situation. Like having a father figure that also enjoys this hobby. But one day when like around 10 years ago, my a friend of my mother's decided to tell her that there's a medieval village that's opened recently near Varna in Neofitrowski, and me and my father went to check it out. So we go there and we enjoy it. We have the best time of our lives. We go shooting
So
and
you
stuff
guys
like that.
definitely enjoy it.
What?
I'm sorry to interrupt. I said you the guys definitely enjoy it because I already see where this is going.
Yeah. We did enjoy it a lot, and then we went to go shoot with an actually a bear bow, you can call it, a medieval bow. Um, and the guy there told us we knew nothing. We thought we had some experience, but we didn't. And after he taught us, we left and started having lunch. Then there was a very mysterious person just staying beside us. This is Milan Petrov, my future in time
Oh,
coach for the story. Yeah. So he's just
that
staying.
while doing that the first time. I'm sorry again. Like I said, having the legend of medieval reenacting in Balkan behind your back while you're doing your first steps is something like epic a moment. You're definitely
Yeah.
going to remember that.
Yeah. So like we were just having lunch and he's like, yeah, you seem to like reenactment and stuff, and we're like, yeah, it's pretty fun, you know. And he's like, how would you like to start a medieval reenactment group? And and we of course said yes. So that's how our group Velichia started. After that, I had no like clothing. I had no equipment whatsoever. Neither did my father. And we had nowhere to get it from because at that time reenactment wasn't so developed. Not that now it's like at the perfect stage, but still it's way more developed. So we had to ask a group that that's in Sliven on the other side of the country basically to lend me some old children's clothes that were for medieval reenactment. And yeah, that's kind of it. It was just an interest that my father started, and the coach, my future coach, Milan Petrov, helped like spark up even more. And as a kid, it was something way out of the normal, and something where I was able to put my energy into it and get tired at the end of the day, so my parents could watch me easier.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good story. Like you can use it as an example for newcomers. Talking about it, like I'm sure you have the same question about it. I will now use it my own free will to ask you this question. I'm really amused by it, and I have to ask, what do you guys? Because I notice you have newcomers in Velicia.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? How do you introduce them to this world? And how do you inspire them? Maybe it doesn't need to be in very certain big level because to join the enactment, you have to have the motivation of your own. Therefore, I'm really curious how you guys in Galicia are doing it. How do you make the guys want to try top fight, archery stuff, bohurt, why not, and everything else?
Well, I think it's just charisma on one place because if you can explain it well enough, it sounds
Yeah.
interesting to everyone. My coach has that ability to explain everything so simple and easy. That's probably why he's a coach. But another part is that we just try to do a lot of demonstrations and spread out the word for the group because there's a lot of people that are interested in history. It's just how you reach them that matters. You know, because if reenactment isn't presented well to them, it's not gonna catch their eye, even if they have the motivation to do it.
Yeah, modern people imagining us standing in the corner coming to you while you're drinking at some party and like, "Psst, you want to get some swords?" Basically, it can be that way, which is 50-50 in success. But yeah, you said it. Milan Petro has his own ability to make things easier for you, and then you wish to try them in the terms of getting the equipment, like such as sabers, swords. Then for that, you need to have some protection, armor, helmets. I will not get into details too much about it, but you understand me, like what is needed for a beginner in this world. Um, I think that apart from Milan, in your country, we have certain point of certain amount of people who are doing pretty much the same in Serbia. Developing is, as I said, it developed itself. Like when you were the beginner or I was, you go to the festival of medieval, you saw it on commercial, and then you meet people, and then you meet someone who is making, for example, shoes. Somebody is making the swords. Of course, all of the boys will go with the stand with the swords, but After sometimes when you talk with the people, they will tell you, yeah, but for that you need gloves protection, and to have the full set you need kaftan, you need shoes, you need boots, and then you start walking around, and that's how you spread out the word of reenactment, and that's how you spread the word to everybody else. And then you see it's not just tiny thing, it's a pretty complex thing, but it can be easy if you're stuck with the people who are also doing this with a lot of love and passion.
Yeah. I know from personal experience you have your own actually historical reenactment group by the name of Lucky Fox. Could you tell us about
Yes.
a bit more about it and how you got people to join your group?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Well, yes, indeed. I have a group that is called Lucky Folks. Before I made the group itself, as I said, that I had to be the beginner of anything. My first group was called Pogani, and they were based in Negotin, which is also close to Vidin as well. Geographically, they are very close to Kladovo, where I was back then living. I went to the first festival. I asked around, like, is there any group close to Kladovo, Negotin, Zaječar? And they told me, yeah, there is a group from Negotin. I joined them. I learned archery stuff from them. But soon after, my ambition grew, which is I wanted to do the top fight. I wanted to wear armor. I didn't want to be just the archery guy. So we made the arrangements. I changed the guild into Zmajeva Griva from Niš. Again, to be closer with Bulgaria, it's close to that in 1 year. And after some time, me and my friends, we made our own group. So it wasn't that hard for me to make them like, hey, do you want to join the group? We were already, let's call it a band of brothers. One of them was photographer and reenactor. The other was archer. Still is, sorry, still is there. They are still there here. One is the archer, and the other is, let's call him a chef, but not any kind. He's making the mushrooms. Like he
Mm-hmm.
knows every mushroom around us. He's pretty into that. We made the medieval guild, and we're making the, let's call the videos, promo campaigns, and that kind of stuff. And now I'm sorry, but I will use this chance as well to say that new video on my YouTube channel is very pretty much done. And according to my knowledge and timing, I think in like 2 or 3 days from now, I will make it as a post. I will make it public on every social media and YouTube itself. Therefore, you're also invited and your viewers to see it. Um, that's how we started Lucky Fox. If you have any other question about it, I'm very glad to answer
Well,
it.
uh, I am very honored to know the entirety of your group, I think. Uh, but like you as a persona especially are somebody that's known throughout all of reenactment. Like whenever there's a festival, for example, in Serbia, and someone doesn't know something, ask Boban. Even if he like if you aren't like an organizer or if you aren't there, just ask Boban, you know? Bobo knows everything, and you're somehow liked by everyone. Like I haven't seen a single Bobon hater. You know, how do you achieve that? Like, there's not a single person that's I think more famous than you in the reenactment.
Well, this question is also a compliment, so thank you very much for this. In the terms of that, I'm not completely sure that everybody likes me, and it doesn't have to be that way. I'm not trying to sound depressed or anything. Just I'm telling you that if everything goes well, you're not doing it right. Sometimes you need to get the how do you say that? Somebody needs to give you a critic, not a bad one, but a critic itself for you to grow. You did this, you could do that. You did this. Also, next time we could improve it by doing something. Um, so I was getting a lot of critics in the beginning. I was involved into festival organizations. I love to be part of that. I enjoyed it. I wanted to learn, and I was stick with the people that I wanted to learn from. I get my inspiration from them. After some time, I was always around them, close to them, and after some time, people get started to know me at the festivals. Hey, Baba, hello, hello. I always spend some time with people. I always have friendly talk. I was trying to learn from them, and whenever I had the opportunity to give my knowledge to everybody that needs it, I always give it. Well, like whatever I know, I will tell you. And the compliments that I get the most, which I'm proud of this time, I would say I'm the person easy to talk with. So naturally, you will stand there and like you were being confused your first time, for example, in Serbia, and you're looking for the guys and they're all medievalish and brutes. You look at the face like, oh, I don't want to talk to this guy. Like he's looking scary. They're trying to be like in the role already. Already, I'm friendly guy sitting in the corner, like holding the beer and trying like, hey boy, you look like you want a sword. Maybe you want to buy a beer, like friendly merchant from medieval times. The guy who is going with the camp around the world and everybody knows it. This is a call for a Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. They have the very same vibe. You're going around for the festivals, for the time spending with people and having a great time. That's my point of view, and I think that is working in my favor in this case.
Uh,
But don't
yeah.
get me wrong. You have the pretty much same vibe. Like you're not the one who is being aside or just being there for yourself. You're always being there and giving yourself to the everyone else, and therefore you're getting the full experience of reenacting,
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
connecting with people as well.
Uh, you're one of the few people in reenactment that actually decide to post reenactment content, and you're one of the two people that posts top fight content. One is you, the other
Who
one
is the
is
first one?
Ludwig Zagozda from France. He has posted a few
I don't know
videos
that.
on top fight.
Never heard of him before. I'm just kidding. I know that Ludwig would watch this podcast, so greeting to Ludwig. I'm sorry, bro. This is just a joke.
But yeah, like, why do you think nobody has done it, and why did you think, uh, why did you decide to do it? Like, what gave you the motivation to start a channel that's dedicated to maybe reenactment? I think because all of your content is mostly historical, you know.
True that. True that. I'm trying to be mostly historical. As I never mentioned before, my wife. Sorry, my wife is into reenacting with me as well, even though she's into, it's a bad thing to say reenacting about it, but she likes to go for certain concerts of how should I explain it? I'm sorry. Now this is me having to work with the kids all day. I'm the teacher, by the way, so sometimes my brain stops working on the in the English language. My wife is someone who is nurturing the tradition of Serbian culture. She's wearing our native clothing, and she's also singing the native songs. She wants to do those kind of concerts. They are dancing kolo, our traditional game, or dancing. Sorry, dancing. um, but as well, she's into medieval world with me. Where I'm going with this now, both of us decided to make content, and we decided for people to see something unusual and something new to them is more closer to get to medieval than to this. Therefore, she's my helper into making the videos and content and stuff. On the festivals, you can see her running around me like in circles, like, "What should I do? Where do you have for me? Is your fight now? Is what is now on the schedule? Tell me, tell me, tell me, tell me." She's
Yeah.
that dynamo around me. So I'm giving like more than 50% credit to her about this. Um, what I did when we made also the decision why we should do the medieval stuff is to spread it in the terms of getting people to be closer to our sport, to understand it even better. And what is a good thing, some of the people, when they get to the festival and tournament itself, they want to know the rules so they can cheer, they can applaud. Sometimes I brought my own parents, they never saw the sword fight before they saw me holding the sword in my arm in real life. Uh, for them, they were just cheering for me and they didn't know what is happening. So I was trying to explain, and then I realized maybe it's easier for everybody when they get to the festival. They can also have the host, or they can be introduced to this world and to know the rules or to follow them. And that's how they can learn, and they can cheer for us, and can be sure, this is point for my son, or this is point for this opponent, or for my friend, for forever you gonna need it. Something like tennis, if you want to watch tennis or the match of Novak Djokovic, you need to know who scored the point, what is happening on the field. Same goes for the top fight. So I had the idea to introduce top fight to the world. They can get to know us. They can get how, in the terms of developing, we are going. Why are we trying to be a sport? And that is the main goal of my YouTube content and goal of the videos I'm making.
Yeah, I mean, top fight is a really like big thing in my heart as the main thing I'm doing in fest on festivals. I would say I haven't always been wondering why it wasn't a sport. And now growing up with it, I'm getting a little piece of the cake, like getting to know all the legal stuff
Mhm.
behind it, and I understand it. But it's so strange how like medieval sports aren't something that's so famous compared to different sports, which doesn't make sense to me. Not that other sports aren't like valuable. I would say every sport has its value. But it's strange that even now in top fight specifically, there's always something that someone thinks is a different way in the rule set. You know, there's almost everybody plays by a different rule set, which is something that shouldn't be that way. Uh, but at the end of the day, it's fun, and people are getting like to see something cool, something not that they wouldn't see every day, since it's quite different from all the other medieval sports, such as Buchurt. It's quite different. Like they're from the same soup, but like yeah, you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well, I can try to help you by that. This is the very good chance to explain top fight in a short way, which is also what we are talking about. Top fight is trying to be reenacting fighting, like to show you how it was back in the days, but trying to go up in the terms of modern day to approach to modern people, so they will love it more or they will follow more. Same as tennis. Uh, every of those games have like very very long time developing. That goes for top fight. Of course, top fight was just a start, at the start or at beginning or development. It has certain rules in the different countries, but right now, thanks to the internet and everything, we are making it centralized with the rules, with everything. Before every tournament you will have the rules sent to you if you apply for tournament itself. That's how it should be done with everybody else. That's my opinion, but I think it's a very good thing to have to when you get to the place. Like if you go to Slovakia, if you go to Poland, if you go to Bulgaria, you will get the rule set. You're obliged to follow those, and that's how it should work. Now, making it even easier is to have the one rule to to bind them all. Um Universal one, everybody knows it, same as tennis as an example, or football. Everybody knows that, let's call it like the game of football lasts for 90 minutes plus the stoppage time. Everybody knows that you have two teams and that kind of stuff. I will not get into the details anymore. That's how it should be with the top fight. It's developing. It has its own site right now with the rule set and everything. You can always visit it and learn yourself. But for the people that are coming to festival with the kids or just to see it first time, they don't know these things. So you have host who said, "Hello guys, this is the trying to be as much as it can be reenacting sword fight. You will enjoy it. We go to the 3 or 5 points. The rules are that, trying in short terms to explain them so you can follow them and you can cheer as well. We appreciate your cheering as well. I can tell for both of us.
yeah.
That's how it works."
Okay, that was a really helpful insight on the theme of the question. Um, why why did you choose to fight in Top Fight and not Buchurt? For me, I
Yeah,
didn't
the
have
big thing.
really, I really didn't have a choice in my experience because I was just too young to start Buchurt. Even though I know a person that started at I think 14, but he's just something that nature decided to create to destroy everyone else. I think we're talking about my one of our favorite personas in reenactment, the little Romanian. Uh,
Well,
yeah,
speaking of Romania, they're also great people and great
yeah,
reenactors. I think we are talking about the same person. I
yeah,
was invited by them to join their medieval club and to try training with them, to be honest, to be more specific. Same goes with Belgrade Club. Yes, I had the opportunities, as you said it. The thing is that I have couple of reasons. Try to be short about this one. Is that first of all, I'm a teacher and kindergarten teacher. I didn't want to get involved into too many of Bohut because it's a full contact. It's already a sport, which is a great thing. In Serbia, they started from zero, from scratch, and they develop it pretty fast and pretty good. Really, I'm applauding them for that. It
yeah. I've
cannot be
seen
said
it.
better than
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
Reenacting is slowly developing in comparison to Bohurt. But what is the main difference for me playing the goal is that full contact sport sometimes it's more leaning to the line of sport than to reenacting and how it was in the terms of reenacting. Yeah, it has connections. It has to have certain brutality to kill other person. You have to be that a good fighter, a big person as well physically. Uh, but for reenacting, you also need to know the techniques. For example, to use a certain type of weapon, you need to get to know certain formations. You need to get into the head of your opponent and your own as well. You need to have your own deep motivations about staying alive. For me, the best example about it was Strategicon from Byzantine scripts. I use that as a main source for a lot of things in Byzantine reenacting. Therefore, I like that book and I was reading it. So I told you I had a year before I was joining it, the medieval world, and I was making a list like this is Beaufort, this is top five, this is reenacting, and why should I join here? Why not? Why should I join here? Why not? Making the comparison, top fight and reenacting won for me, but it didn't exclude the Beaufort, even though I didn't want to do it anymore since I found my love and passion for other thing, which is, of course, my point of view. If you like martial arts, fighting sports, let's call them this way, you're most welcome to try Beaufort. In every country, there is a certain club. You can definitely know that. Just go around festivals and you will see the guys doing that in full armor, full contact, lots of adrenaline, lots of passion, lots of fighting. Most people that are coming to festivals are looking at Beaufort because they see a real fight, even though for me more realistic to closer to medieval terms of fighting is top fight, and as well, which is worth mentioning, even though it's not a main subject for us, it's He-Man. It leans on fighting techniques and how to use a weapon as it should be.
I would say Hema is like you said the most accurate in representing it because Hema is like it studies directly from sources from like German masters or Italian masters or Spanish or French, but it's due to them having the sources in early medieval reenactment. We don't really have a lot of sources on fighting techniques, and that's why Top Fight for me isn't the most accurate.
Yes.
If we're not talking about directly about equipment, the equipment is accurate for some people. There are some people that don't do it accurately, but for some people, the equipment is good, but you can't guarantee that it's accurate the fighting style because we don't have any sources of or at least for us, I think, from what my knowledge is, we don't have sources describing fighting techniques and stuff like that because it's not something people wrote down, I think, more.
something from a Byzantine point of view. I just mentioned the book which is called Strategicon, and there is also one from Italy, Dera Militari. The name itself, it's already Italian, Dera Militari.
Yeah, yeah,
It's describing the techniques of everything, and you have a lots of manuscript as well from early centuries of medieval to late centuries, especially later. Of course, we know that developing of itself, but you can learn, and there is a one good thing about it that you can learn from the masters that was previously learning from the book, and they developed their own style, fighting style, and today you're learning from them. So experience learning from the book is one thing, and learning from a living person that is master
yeah,
in its sport, it's something other. So you and me, when we joined this, we already have somebody who had much more experience and who tried everything, and they can show it to us, and we were taught by them. I really appreciate that from certain. I have more people into this. I didn't learn from one person. So I would like to say hello to every one of them, but there is no time for that. There is a lot of people. You can teach certain techniques, why they're developed, why were they basically there, for what reason. So I just made a comparison at the start between Byzantine and Hungarian reenacting. They were non-stop opposites, sometimes allies. You know how it works in medieval times,
yeah,
but one had a different strategy completely of other, and why they worked like that way, what was the difference, and what determined the fate and the outcome of the battle itself. So sometimes even couple of people could decide a fate of the battle. That was my inspiration for learning these books, and that's how I decided for top fight and reenacting instead of Bohurt. Bohurt is as well very good thing to have in your mind as well. I'm not saying anything bad. We had it at Smederevo 2019, Battle of the Nations. That was the first time to introduce 250 people on one side and 250 on the other side fighting each other. And now we are streaming for a goal that is also in reenacting. We are doing that every year. And now this is a pretty good thing to say that from 1st to 3rd of May, which is non-working days for everybody around the world, around the whole globe. In Smederevo, there is a huge reenacting festival, and we will be part of it. It's called Knights and Legends. It's, if I'm not mistaken, I'm really sorry, it's fourth or fifth by the one in the row. I'm not sure. I'm really sorry, but I know it's already a tradition there. I know that you will be part of it, that you're coming
yeah,
there.
yeah,
So maybe we can continue this podcast with a lot of other people and making it more crucial for everyone, making a more opinion,
yeah.
and therefore making it as a treasury for reenacting and for entering into this world.
Yeah, we will certainly do that. The best part of it is that we can call all of the other group leaders. Not that I'm a group leader, but you are one, and I've called my group leader, Milen Petrov, on a previous episode, and we can get their opinions as people who have had like twice or three times or more experience than us, and it's gonna be a great to see their point of view. Uh, so how would you describe the state of Serbian and Hungarian reenactment? Do you think it's at a high point right now? Do you think it could develop way more? Do you think it's bad?
Well, my facial expression said it before I answered it. Now, here is the thing about it. In Serbia, as I said, the Bohort is on very good level. I really admire it. Reenacting and top fight is not on the scale of potential it can have, or it has. Potential it has. So, at the moment, people are really working on it. They're improving the equipment, their looks. They're more close to the sources itself, the very good one. But there is also space to get better, to get nose. Like when I started, I had, for example, a helmet, kaftan, and gloves. I didn't think, hey, I will need a belt, I will need the boots, I will need perfect pants. I will need protection for the pants. I can make them look more medieval because they also have the solution for that. It doesn't have to be the modern plastic one beneath the medieval stuff.
Yeah.
So in that terms, it can be improved a lot. It's a beginning mistake, but it's not a mistake, to be more honest. It's a thing that you have to pass. It's a phase. If we want to jump through this phase and to get more closer, it has a lot of things to improve. From Serbia point of view, I'm living in Serbia, but from Hungarian point of view, I think they're really close to jump over it. They have a lot of big groups that already have their own system. So, for example, big greetings to Nordegard. I know their own rule that there is a 1 year trial. So, if you apply to be part of Nordegard, you have 1 year as a trial. And in that 1 year, they will give you all the sources and information that you need, like if you're doing their reenactment. So, they will give you the person for boots, for shields, for swords, for gloves, for helmets, for everything, and then you just start having the good equipment, pretty authentic. You don't have to be on your own as we were at the start right now for some things, which is the step up from them, but not too much from my point of view. We're also close to this, but right now, as I said, the most used word for this is development.
Yeah. Yep. Here it's similar. We have we had a very strange phase in reenactment where everyone decided to do their own thing, but not historically accurate. I'm not mentioning any
Would
group.
the word probably.
Can you repeat?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Hollywood reenacting, like a lot of
Yeah,
letters and trying to be fantasy. You have to
yeah,
make a difference between art and reenacting.
yeah. So we had that, but now I've seen some of the big groups. Not that we have that many, but some of the big groups are starting to gear up better and are starting to participate in tournaments and stuff, which is really good. And somehow, um, a few people from that are like the um, OG reenactors from Bulgaria have are trying to like combine LARP and reenactment by just bringing the people from LARP into reenactment and reenactors into LARP. It's a difficult transition, but as you've seen in previous festivals, we have a lot of new people that are so motivated to do reenactment and are actually having somewhat accurate clothes due to LARP, like mostly needing medieval atmosphere and stuff. So like, it's really hard to mess up pants, a tunic, and boots, you know. And they have like a little starter kit that they can bring on the festival, which I'm really happy about because it was there was a point of time in which Bulgarian reenactment was very very low. Like almost nobody wanted to participate in festivals, but now the interest has spiked up, which is really exciting. But um, we have an issue with new people joining. We do have new people in our club, but we are only a small group of people. Like we're 20, 30 people, 40 maybe, and that for a whole country is very small. Maybe 200 people, 300 max are doing reenactment in Bulgaria. And for some reason, there just isn't interest to participate in reenactment. There's a lot of big audiences, but there's not that many people that find it interesting to participate in, or they just haven't been motivated
Maybe
enough
it's a
to do it.
solution to go for a reenacting of. Well, you guys have a very rich history, same as we are, and you have the first Bulgarian Sardon, of course, second one. I think playing by those cards, more people from Bulgaria would join in. They are very proud of that period. You had a very big kingdom geographically. You're very proud of it, as everybody should be. We had this, in Serbia. We had it with the period of Nemanjić dynasty. It's a golden era from Serbia point of view. In Hungarian, there is the whole kingdom, and when they came to Carpathian Basin. So playing by those things, I think the most people would be interested about their own heritage and reenacting it. I know currently Vikings are very popular in everywhere on the globe, like everywhere.
Yeah,
I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I know that my heritage is in one place. Even though that doesn't exclude, maybe I want to do a set of Viking, but I will do my own Hungarian and Serbian or Byzantine. For you guys, it works in Bulgarian Sardom, first one or the second one, or and of course I know about the story of a Bulgarian Tsar drinking from the skull of his enemy, which was the emperor of Byzantine. So that's
yeah,
an epic thing to say. And when you tell like that's our ancestor, they're like, "Wow, do you want to see that in real life coming to our thematic park in a historical park?" And the kid would definitely go, "Yes." That's I think that's the main goal that you can achieve to make more people into this world, like playing by your own heritage, your own history, reenacting it, and that's how it should work everywhere. Of course, be proud on your neighbors, learn from them, but nurse your own tradition, nurse your own heritage.
yeah. The Viking spreading is really famous now. We have actually one new
Yeah,
group, which I'm really proud of. They're from Stara Zagora. Um, and they have been for the last year they've developed well enough to have full sets of armor and shields and swords and everything for like a group of at least 10 people, which is really hard to do in a year, if you especially if you're a new group. They're going with really precise accuracy, even though it's not especially Bulgarian. Uh, when we have had contact with Vikings, but that's a different story. Uh, they're doing it well enough that I think it doesn't go into LARP, but it goes into reenactment, and they're so motivated. They're going into tournaments and stuff. There's a distinct difference between Vikings and Vikings. There's some people that just get gear off of the cheapest place possible, and they just get some plastic protectors and stuff and say they're Vikings.
like
Yeah, and there's
them.
and there's like actually good Vikings that are digging into sources. And for some reason, there are a lot of sources about Viking heritage. But it makes sense for them to have more sources than our heritage, as I may call it, because they were just more widely spread and they were at a later period than us. So, makes sense. So yeah. Uh, how do you manage to like balance teaching and reenactment and everything like that and leading your own group and stuff? How do you just put it all together?
The answer is in the question itself. Teaching is universal. So I'm teaching people, I'm relying on them, I'm teaching how to rely on other people, but not in a bad way, but to know you can work with, what are their specialty. And that's how you just manage the group. That's how you manage the group in the teaching class and everything else. So you need to know yourself, you need to know your friends, and you need to know how many possibilities they can do or what they are like specialties. For some reason somebody's a very good archer, somebody's very good organizer, somebody's very good chef or a cook to get close to it. Somebody is at least logistically very good thing to have around you guys, like he knows where are the car keys, where is the car, where the rest of the stuff, the tent itself for a festival. Like everybody has their own unique role to play, and it's not how should I say, they're not pushed to be it, they choose it themselves. So sometimes you can just be with them, like, hey guys, I heard you go to festival, can I go with you? I can bring this and that. I want to learn, I want to be part of your group. There you go. Easy as that. So you want to be part of the group, you want to do archery. Hey, okay, of course, if we have 3 or 4 people, you can learn from them, you can go to tournament. You know what? We're gonna need somebody to take, for bad example, just we need somebody to take water. Can you do it? And then we will show you how to shoot. And that's how it should work. Like that's easy. Just be friendly, know your specialties, know your abilities, try to develop to be a good person, to be a good reenactor after that. And there you go. Not complicated. Nothing is complicated, to be honest. So on this thing, I agree with Milan Petrov.
Okay, okay. Um, how would you, what tip would you give to someone that's starting a reenactment and is having difficulty with getting all the sources and stuff like that? So, like, imagine you're talking to yourself from 6 years ago. What tip would you give yourself before starting a reenactment, or how to
Run,
start it?
run away. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Well, that's a very good one. I don't have any more of time for this in terms of I have modern obligations. I'm truly sorry. I will use this to announce the art festival as we already did. There we can continue this talk. I will answer this question as well, but then I have to leave. I'm truly sorry, Nicola.
No problem.
Um, my wife into this reenacting has given me a notification. I can see it on the bar, and she's telling me we need to go. I'm really sorry. That's how you manage things. Now, here is the thing about it. The tip for a newcomers is to have patience, have other people around you, and try to get involved so you can learn. So here is the thing. I will use some of the examples of the newcomers that quite recently have arrived into our groups in Serbia. Uh, they're nonstop around older guys that are already into this sport. That was my start as well. You can learn from them, as I mentioned, logistic about the festival. Then, of course, you're there for that kind of interest to learn history and how the warriors, how the cooks, how the normal day of the villager looked. And you want to be that, just ask them, ask their sources, ask where I can do it, how I can gear up, how can I level up from the gear I have. Try to try different sources, different people in the terms of asking them questions about this. Improve yourself and be open to it. Then be continuously of the start. Be continuously on some kind of events. I will call them festivals, but they're generally events. They include tournaments, they include reenacting, they include a lot of stuff other than that. So be there and you can learn and you can adapt. From that point, it's already easy for everything. It's like when you start in the gym. You apply for 1 month membership, and if it goes well, you will apply for 3 month membership. If it goes even better, you will apply for 1 year, and then from then on, you know it's going to be for 2 years or for a whole life. The same thing goes for reenacting. When you enter first time, I think you will find the people or your friends that will ask you to come with them to join them. That will be fun for you guys to do. If you find the joy in it, stick around them, learn from them, and improve yourself.
Okay,
I see a lot of people from
yeah.
Serbia, as I said, newcomers. They develop pretty fast, a lot faster than I was when I started this, and I'm really glad for that.
Yeah, I've seen that event, if I may call it that too. And it's really good that we've gotten to a point in which a person can develop in this area so fast. So yeah, thank you for participating here. As we said earlier, we will continue this episode with even more guests and even better clothing in Smederevo. So yeah, this was Boban Kish, our first international guest from Serbia. So yeah,
It's my pleasure having you there.
and see you next time, everyone.